Russian forces have reportedly initiated assault operations on Tolstyi Lug in Kursk Oblast, amid unconfirmed reports of them capturing Lubomovka, suggesting they may have crossed the Snagost River to attack from the rear, strategically positioning themselves behind Ukrainian lines. In response, Ukrainian forces have resumed their offensive, launching attacks from Veselo along the Kurakhove road, defended by Tula paratroopers of the 137th Airborne Regiment. This regiment was recently moved from Orikhiv to Kurakhove. Ukraine has reportedly brought new reserves into the Glushkovsky district to bolster their efforts. Both sides are employing long-range weapons as these confrontations intensify, with Ukrainian assaults originating from the south of Veselo, supported by an accumulation of reserve forces. Russian forces have reportedly advanced into the city of Kurakhove, following the successful clearing of Ostrivsk. They have allegedly entered the eastern residential areas along Skidna Street, taking control of a local cemetery and part of the railway line. Geolocated footage suggests that Russian forces have advanced northeast of Tabaivka, likely using dual assault vectors. One from the south, moving between forest plantations, and a larger one in the north along a treeline toward the Kupiansk highway. In response, Ukrainian forces targeted the new Russian positions with FPV drones, reportedly resulting in casualties of at least 4 Russian soldiers. This advance may date back to the earlier assault on Kotlярivka and Kislivka. Reports suggest that recent frontal assaults by Russian forces on Ukrainian positions near the agricultural buildings on Selydove's southern outskirts were unsuccessful. Consequently, Russian troops have bypassed these positions via a railway line. Additional accounts indicate that Russian assault units have approached near the intersection of Shkalnaya Street and the railway line, potentially marking an unconfirmed advance of 450 meters. According to a report by the pro-Ukrainian source Deep State, Russian forces have made a minor advance west of Niu-york, seizing Ukrainian positions along a treeline and a forest plantation just outside the town. Russian forces are reportedly preparing for future offensive operations toward the key Ukrainian town of Orikhiv. Paratroopers from the 247th Airborne Regiment are gradually clearing treelines of entrenched Ukrainian forces. In response, Ukrainians are shelling Russian positions north of Verbov, a suspected accumulation point for Russian troops. Concurrently, Russian forces are heavily bombarding Mala-Tokmachka, with reports of daily salvos involving up to 16 FABs and 2 Grad MLRS. Claims suggest these attacks target concentrations of Ukrainian forces. Meanwhile, Ukrainians are increasingly deploying FPV drones, frequently changing frequencies and using varied drone types, likely to counter Russian MLRS systems. Russian and Ukrainian sources report a Ukrainian attack on the Russian military airfield Khanskaya in Adygea, resulting in significant damage. The strike reportedly destroyed missiles, aviation bombs, and damaged the runway. Russian Telegram channel Astra cites sources claiming a drone strike detonated an X-31 missile, 3 X-35 missiles, and 15 aviation bombs, while also destroying 41 Unified Planning and Correction Modules UMPC. The attack triggered a large fire, prompting local authorities to evacuate the area. The following day, Ukraine's general staff confirmed the destruction of an ammunition depot at the airfield. Ukrainian intelligence services, including the Security Service of Ukraine and Special Operations Forces, are credited with the attack. At the time, the airfield reportedly housed a number of military aircraft, including 12 Su-34s, 2 Diamond Da-42S, 37 L-39s for Su-35S, and 2 Mi-8 helicopters. Lithuania installs Dragon's Teeth to fend off potential Russian attack. Lithuania has fortified bridges connecting to Russia with Dragon's Teeth anti-tank barriers as part of its defensive preparations. The Defense Ministry announced additional firepower enhancements around a fortified bridge over the Neman River to deter potential Russian incursions. The Neman River, partly serving as a border with Russia's Kaliningrad exclave, is now heavily fortified with reinforced concrete bollards and other defenses like mines, machine guns, and barbed wire. This precautionary measure underscores heightened security in the region following Russia's 2022 invasion of Ukraine, making the Kaliningrad-Poland-Lithuania border zone one of Europe's most fortified areas. Last month, Lithuania also placed Dragon's Teeth on the Queen Louise Bridge, which connects the Russian town of Savitsk with Panamian, Lithuania. Lithuanian Defense Minister Laurynas Kasčiūnas stated that this initiative is part of a broader strategy to strengthen all of Lithuania's bridges, with some prepared for demolition if necessary. Other EU and NATO countries bordering Russia and Belarus are similarly investing in fortifications, such as Poland's extensive £1.8 billion East Shield program, partly funded by the EU. Kyiv confirms death of Ukrainian journalist Victoria Roshchina in Russian custody. Ukrainian journalist Victoria Roshchina has died while in Russian custody, according to Petro Yatsenko from Ukraine's Coordination Headquarters for the Treatment of Prisoners of War. The circumstances of her death remain unclear. Roshchina, 28, a freelance journalist for outlets like Ukrainska Pravda and Radio Free Europe, was detained by Russian forces in August 2023 while reporting from occupied eastern Ukraine. Her father received a notice from the Russian Defense Ministry stating she died on September 19th, with plans to return her body to Ukraine. Ukrainian lawmaker Yaroslav Yurchyshin initially reported her death on Telegram, but later deleted the post pending confirmation from the Ukrainian government. Ukraine's military intelligence representative Andriy Yusov mentioned that Roshchina was set to be part of an upcoming prisoner exchange and was being transferred to Moscow's Lefortovo prison. Roshchina, who reported on the Russian invasion from its onset, last communicated with her editors on August 3rd, indicating she was working in the Zaporizhzhia region.